Welcome to the 2025 Carl Albert Titan Coaches Show. I'm your host, Kirk Norman, and we're going to have many opportunities this year on the Coaches Show to break down different highlights of the week. We're going to talk to coaches and players, and we're going to continue to share with you the inside look at Carl Albert Titan football.
Hey, turn me up a little bit more in the headphones.
Welcome to the second edition of the Carl Albert Titan 2025 Coaches Show. Welcome back here to Jim Harris Field. Again, it's nice to be out here on the field here at Gary Rose Stadium, and a successful outing, Coach.
Absolutely, yeah. It was always it's always fun and to get that first one out of the way and make sure that you go out and your kids play hard and they're focused and dialed in. I thought our kids did a really good job leading up to the game. We had some really good practices towards the tail end of the week. On Friday, I felt like we were dialed in, and there's a lot of things that go into that first game from a school standpoint. We had a pep rally. It's things that as coaches, we worry about whether our kids are going to be focused with all that stuff going on. But I thought our kids did a really good job of that, and then went out and played really, really hard. Obviously, things that we need to clean up, and we'll talk about. But for the most part, I thought we had a really good outing, and our kids gave great effort, which is what we asked first and foremost.
One of the things that we noticed right off the bat, and you had mentioned it before, we talked about it a little bit on our broadcast that we had, was the kids looked sharp in the new Jumpman uniform. So I know that they probably felt good in them as well, but man, they look great.
Yeah, that was fun being able to play on the road the first game and getting to break those out. The first high school team in Oklahoma that got to wear a white Jordan uniform, and that's pretty cool. There's not a lot of first anymore at Carl Albert High School, and be able to do that right there, and kids getting to go out and wear those and play well in them, and you look good, you feel good, you play good, and thought our kids, they did all those things, and it was really fun to break those out. The student section, that was the theme, was the white out, and there was a great student section. It was a great crowd on both sides, and fun atmosphere, a lot of cool things going on at all of our stadiums here in Middale.
Before we get into the game too much, I noticed there, and for those of you that are watching, I don't share any of these questions with Coach Dunn before, but you had a nice moment there at the end of the game with Coach Washington, and I know that they've got a lot to build with there, and so can you share anything about what you all talked about a little bit?
Yeah, I told him first they got better from their first game to their next game, and that's all you can ask for when you got a young program and you're a new coaching staff and you're a new head coach at a new place. That's all you can ask for early on, is that you're at least getting better week to week. And I expect them to go out and do some good things this week against PC West, but it was just encouragement. I've known Coach Washington a long time, and I know that he's taken on a thing that right now it just has to build.
Right.
And he's doing a really good job. Everything he talked about leading up to that game, it was all the correct message and things that I would have said too, if that was my group. And so it was just encouragement. I talked to him, I talked to a couple of their players and made sure that they knew that they had a really good coaching staff around them. And there's some really good guys over there, and guys that really care about those kids and care about Midwest City football. And so with all those things, you put it into place, it'll come around. And so it was just encouragement for their players to make sure that they were sticking with the process and doing everything that they could to speak the same message as Coach Washington.
Well, the game ended up 41-8, and that 8 really came towards the end of the game. You had the opportunity to play nearly everyone on the sideline that night, and that's got to feel good, even because we have a lot of players that need a lot of experience, and so we've talked about we've got a little younger team this year. So tell us a little bit more about the game and how you felt like the players played.
Yeah, well, just like I said a while ago, I thought our effort was really good. We told our kids we knew that there were going to be mistakes. We knew there were going to be things that we wouldn't get right, but those mistakes, they become a little bit smaller whenever you're making up for it with great effort, and I thought our kids did that. And so we did have mistakes. It wasn't our cleanest football game, and so that's something that we can build on. That's something that we know we can clean up. We had way too many penalties, but a lot of those, you go back and look at them, a lot of it was effort plays, and there's some where it's just blatant we held,
right.
And there's some of it where we've got guys, they're downfield 10, 12 yards, and they're blocking their tails off, and they get a hold. We can clean it up, but, you know, you don't want it to be the other way around where you're having to try to speed guys up. And,
right.
and you know, those things are happening because they're getting ran through and they're grabbing. It was guys downfield doing a great job. And so, you know, there's things that we can clean up, obviously, and we'll have to. You know, the opponents, as we get further in that schedule, we get into that district schedule, those are all things that we definitely have to get cleaned up, and we will. But, you know, I loved our run game offensively. Our senior, our veterans offensive line did a great job of paving the way. Delijah had a great game. Tyler Simmons got some carries, and he looked really good running the ball as well. And Anderson, I think he ended up having 3 or 4 carries, but it was always positive yards. And so I felt really good about that. I thought we were really efficient. You know, we were, with our ones, when they're in the game, I think we were like 54% run to 46 pass. So we're almost 50-50. We were 15 of 18 passing. Didn't have a ton of yards, but we were efficient. We took the things that they were giving us. We threw for 1 touchdown, and I just felt like we looked like an offense that could go churn it out and could go put together drives and sustain drives. And whereas last year, a lot of time it was lightning in a bottle. It'd be 3 or 4 plays, and it was, you know, series was over. We're back on defense, and so it felt good to watch us go churn one out because, you know, as a defense, we tell our guys, make a team drive the field.
Right.
They'll make a mistake, or they'll stop taking the easy ones, or whatever it is. And so to watch us do that, I was really proud of that, you know. And then defensively, we started out really well. I can't remember the exact stats, but I think we held them to 100 yards or less of total offense. I think we had 4 takeaways. Our goal is always to have at least 2. We had 4 takeaways. We didn't allow a score, a first possession on both halves. So hit a bunch of our goals. Kids played lights out. Kids played with great effort. So I was really pleased with the game.
All right. So we're looking at an opponent this coming week, and I know that Eisenhower's had some struggles in these first 2 games, and so they've only scored 6 points in the first 2 games. Had 100 points scored against them already, and so when you're looking at that, how much are you putting into Eisenhower this week, and how much are you not letting the players necessarily, but how much are you looking ahead as a coaching staff?
Right. Well, you know, we're always going to make sure that our kids know that it's week to week, and we're focused on 1-0. And our kids, they understand that.
Yep.
Now they also know they're not stupid. We can't hide it from them.
No, they know.
They know. they. I remember last year, all of them were talking early on about how that next game was the one that they were really, really excited about, and that's fine. You know, we want our guys to have games circled on that schedule that they're excited to play in, but we also, it's our job to make sure that they're not overlooking the next one. And
exactly.
So we've been able to talk about both a little bit, but you know, we're all of our team sessions, anything like that, we're focusing on Lawton, and you know, they've got explosive players. They've got some guys. They're a young group like Midwest City, and it's also a brand new coaching staff. You know, and so they don't run a whole lot of offense. It's not just really wide open yet because they're trying to teach a bunch of young guys how to play ball, you know. And so there's things that we're able to, as a coaching staff, to look ahead at and know, okay, you know, these are things that we're going to have to be ready for as a staff. You know, that way when we get back this next weekend, we're not sitting there starting that's the first time we've had a look at anything that they've done, you know. And so but it's a balance, you know, and our kids are doing a good job of being able to, and that's another thing. Some of the offensive stuff they do is very similar. Defensively, nobody is like Stillwater, but you know, it's there's a lot of similarities in there from a formation standpoint that we can get ahead just by doing what we're doing for Lawton. So, you know, our kids they'll be ready and they'll be locked in on Friday, and then I know that they'll be ready to go to work this weekend on the next one.
All right. So you had a kind of we're going to have an opportunity to talk to him here in a few minutes, but I would say that was a little bit of a breakout game for Delijah. He's worked really hard over the summer. We've all kind of seen that. And tell us just a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so, you know, I think he would tell you the same thing, but it starts with that offensive line, those guys, and our wide receivers. I think our wide receivers do as good of a job as anybody in the state of Oklahoma at blocking and being selfless teammates and affecting the game when the ball's not in their hands, you know, and then, you know, Anderson Collier doing a great job with those RPOs and making sure that he's reading the defense and he's taking what that they're given, you know. And so but Elijah had a heck of a game. It's things that we've seen him do. You know, we've watched Elijah since he was in 6th grade over here, and have games like that, and have, you know, go out there and do some special things. And so to watch him do it in his first official start as a high school guy, and to do it against a really good team and a really good a district rival, and you know, that was fun to watch. I thought his vision was really good. He made some cuts there that were really things that I've seen Elijah do. You know, it's not unique to us anymore because we've watched him do it for a couple years. But I thought he had a really good game, and I was really glad to see us really churn that out and have a good run game early on. You know, last year it didn't start as fast for us on the run game, and so to start that way, I felt really good about that.
All right, so you're wearing your Swarm hat this evening.
Yeah.
And it was one of the things, Coach Goff mentioned it on the broadcast on Friday night. There's a lot of place for improvement, just as you said, with the defense. However, that Swarm felt strong on Friday night. Everybody was moving to the ball, and there were few one-on-one tackles. It looked like everybody was trying to get the tackle.
Yeah. We count. You know, when we watch film on Saturday, as a defensive staff, we watch it all together, and we do production charts. We total up our points with our kids. But you know, one of the things we look for is loafs, and we tell our kids a loaf is just an obvious change of speed on a play. If somebody has to change their speed because they see somebody break the line of scrimmage, or they break a tackle and somebody thought somebody else was going to make that tackle, and they have a burst of speed all of a sudden, we tell them that's a loaf. You weren't just going full speed from the very beginning. And so we had very few of those. We had a couple. There were some things that we had to clean up with that too, but very few. For a very first game with especially the back end being 7 new guys, we didn't see a whole lot of that, you know. And so our kids played really, really hard. Our defensive line, they always get us started, and they played like maniacs, like they always do. Made lots of plays in the backfield, lots of quarterback pressure, some sacks, tackles for a loss. Just some really, really fun stuff to see, because it's basically just starting over from next year, you know, or from last year. They're just going right back at it. But it was also great to see some of our younger guys in the back end have really good games. But yeah, effort was great. You know, that's what we start our defense around, is playing physical and playing with great effort. And that's our defensive culture. And so those guys, they take a lot of pride in putting on that black shirt and representing what a lot of teams and a lot of guys from Carl Albert have represented before.
One last question for you in this segment would be, you did get a lot of 2s and 3s in. Anybody stand out that you saw on Friday night?
Yeah, you know, one guy that we were all really impressed with was Jake Miller on defense. Jake came in, and he's a backup linebacker right now, but he's a guy that's getting better. He's a sophomore. You know, one of the things that we do a really good job of, we've got a catapult system, which is we get to monitor our kids, and it monitors like how fast they run on the field, their miles per hour. It'll monitor how much mileage they have on them, on their legs throughout a week. But miles per hour is something that we really like to look at, because then when they hit a top speed, we know in practice if they're hitting top speeds in practice. That way we know they're practicing hard, and it helps prevent injuries. But Jake Miller, he hit one of our top speeds on defense the other night. He hit 19 miles per hour.
Oh, wow.
And that's a really good number, especially for a kid that's 205, 210 pounds. And so I felt like Jake did a really good job coming in a backup role there. He's playing tight end for us in our 2 tight end package, and physical kid. So he was one just right off the bat that kind of stood out. And I know there were more, but we talked to our guys at halftime about no letdown. Come out, and whenever it's your turn, get out there and get after it, and let's not have any letdown. Monte Abraham is another guy. Hero Abraham was a guy that came in. Both the Abraham brothers came in and did some good stuff for us. And so a bunch of guys that we're really excited about in that younger group.
All right. We'll be back with you here in just a moment on your 2025 Carl Albert Titan Coaches Show.
Yo, Pierre, you want to come out here?
Welcome back to the 2025 Carl Albert Titan Coaches Show. We have two of our players with us this evening, Thomas Welch, who's a senior lineman, and Elijah Matthews, running back for the Titans. So, Thomas, I'm going to start out with you, if you'll take that microphone. And it's your senior season. You got one game under your belt. And tell us how you felt Friday night.
I felt really good. You know, it felt like I was starting something new, knowing, like, you know, this is my last year. This is my last ride with these guys, my last ride at this school. And it's just nice to be able to go out there and get a win on my last start of the season and just really kick the season off right.
All right. So I use this every year, but now you've become one of the old men on the line, right?
Yes,
so
sir. Yes, sir.
who plays right next to you?
Wait, Kalen Smith.
There you go, Kalen Smith. Way. So you know, he was kind of the baby guy last year, but now he's stepped up. You guys have that side of the line. You guys work really well together, don't you think?
Oh, yes, sir. You know, we got a saying. We say left side, best side.
There you go.
Because our chemistry is just so good. We see things, and of course we say it, but we don't have to say it. Like, we're just on one accord, and I feel like it's very important for us as a left tackle, left guard duo to just make sure that we're on the same page and know what we're doing, where we're going, and all of that stuff.
So I always ask this question at the beginning of the year, but is there a game on the calendar that you've kind of circled that you're looking forward to playing this year?
Stillwater.
Okay.
Yeah, we went up there and beat them in their house last year on their homecoming, and I know that they're going to come down here. They're going to be ready to play. They're going to want to give us a loss like we gave them last year, and we just got to make sure that doesn't happen. So, yeah,
all right.
Definitely.
And you know that they've got kind of a crazy defensive scheme, right? So
Yes.
they're running around. It looks like they have no idea what they're doing, and then all of a sudden they attack, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So what do you do in preparation for that? Maybe you can think back on what you did last year. What do you do in preparation for that?
To be honest, just making sure that I'm trusting myself. Like, I know what call we're going off of. They're going to do a lot of things to try to get us to jump off sides, and just make sure that when the ball is snapped, because they're going to be fast, they're going to be coming. It's just making sure that when I get somebody, I stay on them, because when they do all of that proud stuff, it can be very confusing at times. So just making sure I trust my technique, trust my athletic ability, and just kind of take them where they want to go depending on what play we're running. That's just the main thing about blocking up their, I would say, different defensive approach.
Different defensive approach. Okay. I'm going to ask you a question about your coach. So, Coach Madden, what do you feel about the way that Coach Madden coaches you?
Man, I love it. You know, he's a guy that's always going to make sure you're doing the right thing. Even if you're doing the right thing. If you could have done it another way, he's going to let you know.
Yeah.
And just as an O-line coach, that's great, because as an O-line, everything right that we do is going to be like, oh, well, you're supposed to do that. But everything wrong is amplified. So we just got to make sure to strive for perfection, and he's the best coach to make sure that we're doing that.
All right. Can you remember one standout play you had from Friday night?
I can remember a standout, but I don't think it's my favorite. I would say a standout is one of the pancakes I had on a down block. But I would say my favorite was we ran a play where I pulled, and I kicked the guy out who shot the gap. It was a linebacker, and I kicked him out and opened a hole for Elijah, and it was just like, yeah. It was like, man, I opened that hole and he was gone. So
right.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite play.
Do your eyes get really big when you see a guy out there that you think, that's exactly what I'm here for?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Man, when I see that, my eyes get big. My goal is to mop them off the field.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
all right.
I always enjoy seeing somebody in open space by themselves.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here this evening. We're gonna turn around here and talk to Delijah a little bit. So, Delijah, you've had the opportunity to sit back and watch some other running backs before you, and this is kind of your year. Is that right?
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. So you had the opportunity to run behind these guys, and tell us what it feels like to know you've got this veteran line in front of you.
I mean, it feels amazing. I mean, these dudes are my only way to success. So, if they do good, I do good. If they do bad, I do bad. So, all the credit, I got to give credit where credit is due, obviously. All the credit goes to them for what happened last Friday night. So, it feels great. I just feel comfortable. I feel like I could be more of a player as myself when I'm behind people like that. So, it's just an amazing feeling.
Okay. So, you run behind them until you outrun them, right?
Right.
Okay. and when that happens, I'm going to ask you kind of the same thing. Don't your eyes get a little big once you break into open field?
Oh yeah. It feels good. I've been working on that top end speed. The linemen usually catch me by the time I'm in the end zone because they're running so fast down to come celebrate with me. But it feels good knowing that when they create a hole, which they do 90% of the time, when I get that opportunity, just hit that top end speed and just to get going, it feels great. So yeah.
All right, I'm going to ask you a little bit of a question about what you've done over the summer because honestly, I think you've maybe grown about 3 or 4 inches. It seems like since you were on this football field last year, and I think that 3 or 4 inches has also added maybe 20 or 30 pounds.
It has.
Am I right?
Yes,
okay.
It has.
But at the same time, you look like you haven't lost any speed. So what did you do this summer to build that body and to keep that speed?
Really, just staying committed. I mean, I told myself before the end of the season that I'm going to do this for my body and I'm going to do this for myself and for my career. And I stayed committed and I did it. But a lot of the credit goes to all the college coaches that, helped me throughout the summer, giving me tips, and all the nutrition coaches that I seen, just stuff like that. A lot of the tips from the college coaches, most of them were former running backs themselves, so they knew how to do it, they knew how to handle it. And, they helped me throughout the summer, going to those camps, doing those drills. So, just staying committed with the process. It's a process for sure. But,
We talk about the process a lot in every sport. And, there is, you go to A, then to B, then to C, and the D, and you keep growing. Was there anything that really stood out or any one thing that a coach said to you this summer that has just kind of locked in your head?
Well, the OSU coach, we've met before. Mm-hmm. The OSU running back coach, we've met before. And he's a good guy, but he's an honest guy. Mm-hmm. So when I went there, he told me, if you want to play at the collegiate level, you got to get faster and you got to develop your body. He said, my arms and my legs were kind of loose, they need to get more defined. And, I never really had a college coach be that honest about my body with me ever in my entire coach in general, not just a college coach, mm-hmm. in general. So, that really stuck with me, and that really helped me to stay committed because, if I have someone that knows what they're talking about telling me that, then it's probably true. So, yeah, that really stuck with me, and that really kept me going when I felt like, was it really worth it? So.
All right. So, kind of the last question for you, Elijah. Again, not the last question. I'm going to give you 2 questions, but one of them is there a game on the schedule that you're really looking forward to in playing, or is it are you just going to fall in line with Thomas?
Well, Stillwater is one of the games, but
yep.
As you probably know, we do have a game against our rivals here at home on Halloween. So that's gonna be a fun one.
That's right.
But it's always good. It's always good to beat Guthrie. So and that it's always a great feeling. And actually getting out on this field, actually being in front of all these fans on a holiday, that's good. It's gonna be a great feeling to come out here and play. So that's one that I'm really excited for.
Well, I'm sure the fans are going to be decked out and everything crazy, and
yeah.
You guys will still just have to wear your uniforms. But,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Last question, and it's somewhat of a statement, but a little bit of a question. But you take your schoolwork pretty seriously too, don't you?
I try to.
Okay. And Coach Goff, Coach Goff, his wife was one of your teachers, and there's no way that I'd make it out of this interview without reminding you of Miss Goff back when you were in elementary school.
Oh, yeah.
And she is one of your greatest fans. And
yes.
So she is screaming every Friday night to see you run down the field. And do you remember anything about Miss Goff?
I can tell you one thing about Miss Goff is she was the one that taught me how to. I don't know if she remembers, but she was the one that taught me how to do a proper push-up.
Okay,
So,
there you go.
She was the one. I'm not sure. She might not remember, but I know I remember. She was the one that taught me how to do a proper push-up. And, I love Miss Goff. She's always here supporting. And their family, they're just amazing people. So, yeah.
All right. Well, that's good. That's a great story. A little bit of insight that nobody knew about Elijah was Miss Goff, the elementary PE teacher, taught him how to do the correct push-up. So we're going to be back with you here in just a few moments on your 2025 Carl Albert Titan Coaches Show. Welcome back to your 2025 Carl Albert Titan Coaches Show. Coach, we always end up the show with some players of the game. So who do you have on all of those stats for your players of the game?
Yeah, so defensively, could have been any one of those four up front. All four of our starting defensive linemen had a great job, or did a great job. We went with LeBron Royal. His production was just off the charts. Just starting back where he left off last year, a kid that was an all-state caliber player last year. Just had a crazy good game. Joe Thomas right there with him, and then Nick and Kathan, both of those guys had great games too. But LeBron, being the senior, being a returning starter, he was the guy we gave the nod to there on defense. Offensive player of the game, we went with two, which I know surprising when you go see Elijah's game and the stats that he put together. But we put Elijah and Anderson on the board. So Elijah Matthews, Anderson Collier. We just felt like, Anderson was just consistent, and and when he made those reads, it allowed the run game to even open up more. So very consistent with his reads and his RPOs and all those things, which is something that we've been working really hard on him with, and I know he's been working really hard on that in the building, at home, and so that was fun to watch, both those guys. Special teams player of the week, we went Jake Farley. He's another one of our seniors. He's been a guy that has played a ton of special teams for us, and now he's playing a ton of offense and defense for us as a senior. Jake, he's a short snapper. He's a deep snapper on punt. Jake had a couple of tackles on kickoff, and one of them was maybe a touchdown saving tackle on kickoff return, or on kickoff, sorry. But so Jake just does it all for us. Lineman of the week, we had two of them, and like I said earlier, both sides, offense and defense, I thought our linemen played really well. But lineman of the week, we went with Thomas Welch, and we went with Kathan Perucci. Kathan being a two-way starter. Kathan had 9 pancakes. We were really, really happy with that. He graded out over an 80. I think he was an 84, and Thomas was an 86. Thomas had fewer pancakes than him, but he graded a little bit higher. But, Kathan being a guy that plays both sides of the ball and does it at such a high level for us, Coach Madden has told me, I really do feel like we're going to need more of our pancakes, and we put our little pancake magnets up there on his board when he counts pancakes throughout the year. And he told me a few weeks ago, I think we're going to need more this year. I really hope so, but he said, I think you need to order more. So felt really good about that. Had a lot of knockdowns, pancakes in that first game. Scout team, I talked about one of these guys, but two guys as scout team players of the week, Monte Abraham and then Braxton Jones. Braxton's another guy, came in at nickel. He's a sophomore. Monte's a sophomore. Both those guys came in and played really good roles for us defensively the other night. And then the big hit stick. So big hit went to Marquise Evans, one of our corners. It's always good to see a corner get a big hit, and Coach Farley right there on the field, as soon as it happened on our sideline. They threw a little swing pass out there, and Macari, he pushed it to the sideline using his 12th defender. Marquise came up and he knocked the guy, 5 yards out of bounds and off his feet, and it was really good hit, And so Coach Farley right there on the sideline said, "Well, boys, that's the big hit stick right there."
There you go.
And he was right. And it was a great hit. So all those guys, just being the first game, get all those guys on the big play board. They're going to get to eat first on Friday, and we try to do some special things for those guys. We give them chains that they can wear to school on Friday on game day, and I think Miss Goggins, she appreciates that a little bit more than them carrying them around sledgehammers. And,
You're right.
And the big hit
and
paddle.
The big paddle.
Yeah. So I think she's appreciated that about me bringing that a few years ago. So happy for all those guys, though. They definitely got us started and helped us get that W.
Well, we're going to be coming back here to Gary Rowe Stadium, and you're going to have the opportunity to see all the entertainment. Behind us, you see the new board, and it's just going to be an exciting night. Be sure and be here early. Remember the clear bag policy that we have coming in the gate. So we want you to come out here and we want you to cheer on the Titans. I'm going to ask you a question. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to. You can just get up and walk away. But Washington took a defeat this last week, and so that left Carl Albert with the longest winning streak in the state. And so I don't know if you were aware of that, but does that play in anybody's head at all?
I don't think so.
Okay.
All of us are aware of it for
Sure.
sure. We know, but it was funny because on that Saturday, I didn't know that Washington had gotten beat. And so that Saturday, I receive a text from Greg Goodrich. He does Prep Nation and does a great job, covers us really, does a phenomenal job covering high school sports in Oklahoma. But Greg sent it to me in a graphic that he's made that he puts on his social media accounts. And so I was in there with about 5 or 6 of the staff on Saturday, people that were still left there. And I said, well, I guess this is still a thing. And so we kind of went through this graphic and saw who has done what and all those things. I didn't know that Elgin had been beat. Is that no? Elgin's, they're still going. Who was the other one that got beat? I don't remember. There was another one.
I don't know. Washington had 47 and we had 39 at that time, so 40.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No. It testament to the kids. It's funny you don't think about it like that because as coaches we think about the times that we got beat. I think about that first game against Coweta back in 22 when we just got embarrassed over there at their place. Those are the ones that keep us awake at night, and so I think about those games more than I think about any of those wins, and so
our last loss was actually 2 games after that against Muskogee.
Muskogee, yeah. I think about that one all the time.
Right.
We talked about it just the other day about Jamar and Ficklin, who's now playing really well over at Utah.
Yes.
I hate that we've missed out on him. I wish he was in the States somewhere, but I think they call him Bird. But Bird, he threw a post route over here, and they were in a little squeeze set, and they did some stuff, a little play action, and he threw a post. It was a beautiful play, But we think about that stuff a lot more than the other. But I wouldn't say that it plays into anything that we do, but it is something that we do realize, and it is something that it's a great thing that our kids have put us in that position. So
absolutely,
it's cool.
It's been a great 4 years, hasn't it?
It has.
So
it has.
All right. Well, we hope that you'll continue to watch the Carl Albert Titan 2025 Coaches Show. We're going to be back here next week, and maybe not on the field, maybe in a room somewhere else, but we're excited to be bringing this to you, giving the opportunity for our athletes to be seen and our coach to just be focused on as you continue to lead this group of people that are out here. They're giving it up every day, and we're excited to see that happen. So come back. We'll be here next week on your YouTube channel. Just follow that CA Football YouTube channel, and you'll be able to keep up with all the things Carl Albert football for 2025. For Kason Troutman and for Coach Dunn, I'm Kirk Norman. Thank you for watching.